So today I bring you a DVD reader that does not turn on. So this is an old DVD RW, and I'm just going to connect it now to the electricity for you to see that it does not work. You'll have to trust me that I'm putting this into a socket, obviously. But this DVD is very old. It does not have HDMI, only SCART connections and RGBs. And as you can see, it's not turning on. So let's go on and take it apart. So let's then open it, remove all the Phillips screws that we have around the perimeter that hold the lid in place. They are 4 screws, if I'm not wrong. So to remove the cover, you just need to pull it up and to the back so it is unclipped from the front face of the DVD reader. Well, after removing it, we have the motherboard and the power supply unit, and immediately I can see that this big capacitor is swollen, so this one is definitely not working anymore. As you can see, it has a bit of swelling and it's a little dirty, I think from leaking. And just under here, 2 of these capacitors, they also look like a bit swollen as well. Here on the motherboard, I don't see anything obvious, but we'll start with the power supply unit and by removing this big capacitor over here. So let's just make sure our fuse is blown. It is. It does not do a connection. It should beep, and it does not beep, so it's blown. So let's then remove all the screws that have this board in place. With all the screws removed, let's then take out the connectors and then pull out our board. So with that being done, let's then test our board. Let's do some resistance tests and some voltage tests. Firstly, we will start by checking this capacitor to see if it has any voltage left, which it does not. I was expecting that. Definitely 0 volts on it. Here, let's just check if we have any shorts to ground on the power line, which we do not. So after a visual inspection, we can see that this little chip is burned out. At least one of the legs, it's almost half broken. Let's try to see this with better lighting, so you can see what I can see. So here, as you can see, half of the leg is broken, so this must have blown. As you can see, the ferrite on the side is also burned out. So this chip has to go. So we need to order this chip and some capacitors as well. So a bit of time has passed, so the capacitors and the chip arrived, so let's remove them all and replace them for the new ones. To remove them, we just need to put a little bit of flux on the legs on the other side of the board add a bit of leaded solder, and then with our solder sucker we will then remove the old solder to remove this component from the board. We just keep the heat on it, just like so, and we'll use the sucker to pull out the solder. As you can see, it's pretty effective. And with the capacitor removed, we can see that it has leaked and has left a bit of damage on the board itself. Nothing too serious, but as you can see, it's fully bulged and it leaked a lot of residue onto the board. So let's now remove these two and see what they look like as well. So we will use the same procedure to remove these two capacitors. We will heat it up with a bit of leaded solder and then use our solder sucker. So let's do the exact same thing, but on the chip. The chip has 8 legs, so we'll do this 8 times. And with the chip removed, as you can see, it is a bit burnt on the side. Let's give it a closer look for you to see what I also can see, which is half of a leg broken and it is a little bit burned out on the side where this leg goes in. So now we will use a bit of vinegar to clean this corrosion from the board, and after the vinegar we will pass a little bit of IPA to dry it out and clean it properly as well. We will now take off our blown fuse so we can replace it with a proper fuse. Unfortunately, I have not filmed the placing of the new fuse, but it will be there. We will now place our big capacitor on its place and solder it with our soldering iron and our solder. So we'll put a bit of flux on the legs and then we flood it with our leaded solder. We will now place our smaller capacitors. Be attentive that the capacitors need to match the negative side. The negative side is marked with a stripe on the capacitor and marked with a few stripes on the board itself. So make sure to do this the right way. And now we will place our new chip. Make sure to put the chip on the correct position. It is marked on the board with the little arch on the left side, so we will have to match the design on the board with the chip as well. With the main job done, let's clean all the area with IPA so we can then properly test if we have any results with this board. We will now place it back on the DVD, making sure to connect all the connectors in the right place and also putting the ground wires that are attached to the screws. So we will now do the test. Let's connect it to power and see what will happen. So it's now connected. And let's press the power button and see if it turns on. It does not. So something is not correct here. I think I may have forgotten to turn on the power on the back. Yeah, that's the problem. So, oh my god. Okay. Wait. So here's a small replay. As you can see, that component blown. Not sure. That's probably a filter that is blown. So yeah, this is the reason why I'm not 100% confident on doing power supply units. So yeah, this has blown. It could have been worse. So I will just check here. Our fuse is blown, obviously, with this explosion, and I will just remove that component to see if it is very damaged or not. It should be, because it's all burned out on top, and it was not like that before. So yeah, a surge of power went through this filter and just blown it, so I don't think I can fix this one. I'll just remove it for you guys to see the state of it is, and it's completely burned out. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a subscription on the channel, watch the next video, and I'll see you on the next one. This was not a victory, it was a loss, but well, who cares? We are here. See you soon.